Hello and welcome to the dining room table. This is Mistakes Were Made. We are here at the first cash envelope stuffing for the new year. If you've been following the channel, welcome back. And you know that we've made some changes to our process as well as some of the financials for this. First kind of big change in quite some time. If this is one of the first videos of ours that you have seen, then a little bit of housekeeping. These are all of the envelopes we stuff. We stuff based on a cadence of pay periods, which is based on my pay period, which goes from the 1st through the 15th, as well as then the 16th through the 30th or 31st. So being that it is the 6th of January, we are in the first pay period. So we are going to be stuffing the envelopes that get paid or get funded during that pay period. Not everything gets funded each pay period. They are broken up, but there are a few that do get funded twice in a month. All right, so what are we looking at here? We've got 100, 200, 300. 50, 450, 70, 90, 510, yes, 530, 550, 570, 590, 610, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 670, 580, 590, 96, 97, 98, 99, $701. Okay, so 701 is what we're working with. We also have a little bit of money here. I will talk about that when we get to the point where it is relevant, but let's start with our envelopes. So AAA, we do not fund during the first pay period. Same thing with birthdays. We do not fund that right now. Oh my goodness. Car maintenance, we do fund. Now, we currently have this handy dandy little $1,000 notification thing in here. We took, oh my gosh, I have so much dog hair everywhere. We took the money that we had gathered once it hit $500 and moved it into the bank account, which got us to the $1,000. Since then, I have had maintenance done on my car. And so the actual amount we have is $868. We are going to be seeing a pretty big drain on this fund in the next couple of months. Mr. M needs new tires. We're hoping we can keep that under $700 on the high end. We will see how that goes. I also need to do my car registration renewal. That's going to cost $196, and I can't remember what the DEQ fee is. I don't think it's anything more than $40, so roughly an additional $135. So right now with $868 in the account, we're really kind of pushing the limit there with having enough money to cover things, especially if, our numbers are kind of off. So adding $100 to the bucket will put us at $968. Oops, I wrote that really ugly. That's okay. You can't, anyway, $968. Which gets us a little bit close to the $1,000. Oopsie. I think I will take the $1,000 out though, since it's not entirely accurate. All right. So probably by mid-February, this will be knocked down by quite a bit. We will have another stuffing in February. I will be waiting until the early part of February to do my renewal stuff, just to give us a little bit more time. But, it is what it is, and we'll just start building this right back up. It is good that we have the money. At least it feels like we're going to have the money in place. These two items, car registration, obviously I do not want to, go awry there. And Mr. M getting new tires for his car, that's a safety thing. If we had to pull money from something else, or even go over budget in our just and spend more than we actually can cover with the envelopes, we would be willing to do that, because those are two items that we can't really live without. We can push some things out. The tires, we could probably wait another month or two, but we're talking safety at that point, so we want to be careful about that. Car registration, there is a deadline, so you got to do what you got to do. Anyway, Christmas we do fund. This is the first, oh my goodness gracious, what is going on here, of the trying to straighten this out, of the ones that we changed. Previously, we were funding at $12 per pay period. We are now doing $25 per pay period. So not an insignificant increase, but that is because we determined this year that we had been underfunding by a decent amount. So hopefully this change will put us in a position where we do not have any particular concerns with how well funded we are for the holiday season when it comes around next year. This is very annoying that I have apparently had this folded this whole time, and so now it's kind of stuck. All right, clothing, we do not fund this pay period. And now we have a late addition to the changes that we are making to our cash envelopes and changes that we are seeing in 2025. The reason that this did not come up previously is it just actually happened this past weekend. Now, Mr. M and I have talked previously about getting our own Costco membership. He was able to use his mom's, but she doesn't go very often, and we didn't want her to feel like she needed to keep a membership up just in case we happen to decide we want to go to Costco at some random time. So we decided we were going to get our own membership at some point. We did get some money from my dad for Christmas. It came to a total of $100, and we decided we were going to use that to fund our Costco membership. The Costco membership, the gold one, just their standard, is $65, though they did try to, upsell us on the business. But their biggest selling point for that was you get up to 2%. I don't know if it is 2% or it's up to 2% back for the year with that. And I was kind of like, well, Costco is not really something that we are going to be doing regular spending at. At the most, we will go once a month, and our goal is going to be to keep it at or under $100 a month. So if you figure, $100 a month, 2% of that's $2, we would see a return back of $24 total. Granted, maybe we would end up spending more, but it just didn't feel like the benefit was there for us to go to the higher, essentially double cost level. So we spent the $100 on the membership, so $65, and we decided it made sense for us to fund any Costco runs that we're going to make, simply because that tends to be, bulk shopping. It's really, really easy to spend a lot of money there. We didn't want to put it in with our standard grocery shopping for that reason. Plus, it's not just groceries that we'd be getting there. So we didn't want the hassle of, okay, we need to take X dollars amount of groceries and then Y dollars out of household and, all of that. So making its own envelope just seemed like the best bet. So this is now added to the finances, and it is going to be funded during the second pay period. So we are not going to fund it this time around. That is, however, part of where this comes from. This is the remaining $35 that we had from the Costco membership purchase. We will be doing something very specific with that. Okay. All right, so now dining out gets $50. This is one that we fund once a month. So this $50 does need to cover any dining out that we want to do for the month of January. And similarly, we have entertainment, which also gets funded at $50 a month. And the same situation applies. So far we've been doing pretty well with staying within the strictures of this. I will say that we kind of use these interchangeably. We don't necessarily just pay for dining out with the dining out money. If we happen to have, $30 left and we're going to go out to eat and dine out, and we still have, another 20 in entertainment, we will use both of those together to cover the meal if it ends up being more than the $30 we have. So we usually typically treat these as kind of combined. Okay, garden and yard. We are not funding this pay period because it is moved to the second pay period. And we'll talk more about any changes for that at that point. Gas gets $100, no changes there. It is one that does get funded each pay period. We do not roll the money over. That's why it doesn't have like a tracker behind it. Gifts does not get funded during this pay period. Giving does, and it gets $5. I kind of feel like, and I don't know how or why this kind of happened, but it does feel like we cleared out quite a bit of these envelopes towards the end of the year, and it's almost as if we're giving ourselves a little bit of a clean slate in some of them. I mean, obviously that's not the case for everything, but there were a lot of empty ones that we went through. So, new year, new start. So I guess that's, a good way to look at it. So giving gets $5. Groceries. Okay, here is where the fun begins. So normally we do $100 per week. However, when we did go get our Costco membership, we did go spend money on Costco. We didn't want to overspend though, so the money that we spent at Costco is coming out of next week's grocery fund, which is what we are funding. We are funding next week and the week after. So typically we would get 100, and then how did I do this? I think I did 50, 70, 80, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, $100. So normally we do $200. We are going to take 50, 70, 80, what was it? 82, I believe. Yes, we're going to take $82 out of that to go back into our checking account, since that's what we ended up spending. I'm actually quite pleased with ourselves because we only spent $82, and we managed to get a 24 pack of eggs, which was a very reasonable, I think $5.99, maybe $6.99. So very excited about that. though I have heard that there is some kind of recall for some of Costco eggs over on the East Coast. I am, of course, hoping that there's nobody that's been made too ill by that, but also that that is not affecting the West Coast, so we don't have to worry about the eggs that we just purchased. We did end up getting some of their very good raspberry lemon muffins, and we got a whole chicken. We got some frozen items, which by the time we got to the frozen section, I was basically done shopping. I absolutely hate shopping. So when I'm in a place kind of like Costco where there's just so many people around, and a lot of times they aren't paying attention to anybody but themselves, so they're acting like nincompoops, and there's just a lot going on. My patience level and peopling level dwindles very quickly. And so by the time we got over into the frozen food section, I was basically telling Mr. M, don't ask me. Don't ask me if I want anything, because my answer is going to be the same every single time. It is going to be, I don't care. If it's something that you want, just go get it. Because I was so done. But before we got to that point, we did spend some time in the meat section. We got these really, really nice looking pork loins. Were they pork shoulder loin? I don't remember. I think they were just boneless pork loins, and they were long, maybe 2 feet long. Am I exaggerating? I don't know. They were pretty big. And the one that we got was for less than $18, so 17 something. And what was great about it was once we got it home, we cut it in half, and then Mr. M cut one of the halves in half again. So now we had 2 kind of boneless pork roasts available. And then we cut the other half into like little boneless pork chops, essentially. And I want to say we got 14 chops out of that. And I was quite pleased with that, because when we were looking at just the pork chops that they had, first of all, it was interesting because they were kind of about this big, and then they were like this thick. So when I was looking at them, I'm like, if we buy these, I'm going to have to cut those in half, because that's too thick. But that would have been okay, because they were selling them in groups of like 8 or 9. So we could have had, 16 to 18 chops out of that. But they were roughly the same price as the whole pork loin itself. So to me, I felt like we got a really, really good deal by buying the big pork loin, because yes, we got the 14 chops, which granted were probably thinner than the ones that they had, even if we were cutting them in half. And there were fewer, only 14, but we also got the 2 boneless pork sections that we're going to use like for roasting or whatever we decide to actually use them for. So I thought that was a really good deal, and it made me very, very appreciative that we do have the mechanisms for preserving food that we do. We do have a food saver. Once we had cut everything up, we were able to put it in the bags, label it with, pork loin chops, how many were in there, the date, pork loin roast, how much is in there, and the date. Vacuum those suckers up and then chuck them into the freezer. If you have the means and the ability to get one, I really do recommend the food savers. They have been so incredibly helpful, not just for meats, but we have done similar things with vegetables that we have grown in the garden or that we have received from, friends and family. Even some of the just fresh vegetables that we've gotten at the store. If we happen to get a lot and we don't think we're going to be able to use them all before they start to go bad, depending on what it is, we might bundle them together, vacuum seal it and toss it into the freezer. I do think it's might be better for people who are going to be doing a fair amount of bulk preserving. But, you know, I don't know. We weren't really super into preserving and bulk foods and stuff like that when we got it as a gift, but we have used it many, many times over the years. Okay, I have gone off on a tangent. I need to go and put this money into the grocery thing. But before I do that, so we now have, because of our spending, we have $100. Oh my goodness, what do we have? We have 110, 115, 16, 17, 18. What we decided was we were going to use the remainder of the gift money that we used for the Costco membership to backfill the groceries, so that we weren't trying this next week to buy groceries with $18. Instead, we are going to try and do it with how much? We are going to try and do it with, drum roll, 20, 30, 40, 5, 50, 51, 52, $53. Is that right? 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 51, 52, 53. Yeah, $53, and then this other 100 will be for the next week. So that shouldn't be too bad. We just made a pretty big purchase. We have a pretty well stocked refrigerator right now. We really probably should be using more stuff in our freezers in our pantry. So I think we'll be fine. And it is just one week. Okay, next is health. And we do fund this. This actually gets funded both pay periods. Obviously, we have spent some money here. I'm just going to put $12.31 and show that we have $5. We are funding at $15 instead of $10 now. So we are at 10, 15, 20. Oops, before I do that, let's update our numbers. Great. Alrighty. Household, we are now funding in the second pay period. License and fees. Okay, so this is fully funded at this point. We needed to get to $200. We are at $208. We are not going to start pulling money out of this probably until March. Now, there is one caveat. I don't remember if Mr. M's driver's license needs to be renewed this year or not. That would happen in February if so. And if that's the case, then we'll take some money out of here for that. This is for driver's licenses and my business license fees. So we will see. I'll have to ask him and to find out. Since this is fully funded at this point, and we don't anticipate we're going to have to start refunding or funding it again until March, we're not going to put the $11 that would normally go to it in here. Instead, we will put this here to figure out what we're going to do with it later. Miscellaneous has nothing in it. Pets. Okay, pets is our biggest change. Previously, we were funding during the second pay period at $160 a month. We have changed that now. We are going to be doing $125, but we're going to be doing that for each pay period. So a boost of about $90 a month. Hopefully that is going to help us get our costs in alignment. However, we are anticipating some additional or higher costs in at least the very near future, because one of our dogs definitely has some kind of allergy issue. He is licking himself constantly, scratching a lot. We have tried things like, oh, can I reach it? We got this like coat defense stuff that we've been trying to put on him, this like weird putty thing. They have some kind of powder thing that you can put on. We have some chews that are supposed to help the gut health, which we think may have helped a little, but they're so expensive. They're like $35 for one container, which you get 30 chews in there. And for the size of dog he is, you need to be giving him them twice a day. And I don't know, $35 for 15 days worth of items, that just seems very, very expensive. We did get the okay to use Zyrtec equivalent to give him for, his allergy kind of symptoms. I'm not sure how much it really helps. So our next plan of attack is we are going to, just for him, get some grain-free dry dog food and grain-free wet dog food. And since we want him to be eating that and the other dogs will eat the regular food because they're fine, they have none of the same issues that he has, so we don't think it's like some new change to the environment. He's been eating the same food forever, so we don't think it's the food, but we're gonna give that a change and a try. We're not really sure why he developed this kind of out of the blue. I do have my concerns because my mom actually adopted a Stafford Terrier Pit Bull mix, whatever it actually was. She was super adorable. And she was, she got her as a puppy, and then she'd had her for about a year and a half, and then she just started developing these terrible, terrible rashes and just was scratching herself like crazy, and all of this stuff is just kind of an out of the blue occurrence. And so my mom went down that route of, well, let's take skin samples and let's get her on this special food, which was like $100 a bag, and the bag was not very big, and keep her on that for like 6 weeks and then slowly introduce new foods. And it didn't really seem to do anything for her. Eventually they determined that she actually had cancer. And so that's why some of these things were manifesting. And that poor dog, she went downhill extremely quickly. And ultimately ended up having to be put to sleep. I don't know. It makes me concerned because there seems to be some parallels between Mr. Murphy and my mom's pet, but it's not an exact match of situations. So I don't know if I'm worrying myself more than I should. He is due to get his license renewed this year, in not too long. So when that comes around, he'll be at the vet, and we'll see what they find and what their recommendations are. Obviously, the change in the food situation right now is going to increase our food costs just a little bit. And of course, we need to get prepared for how much it's going to cost to have him at the vet as well, and what they end up determining. So hopefully the changes we've made are going to help us weather that and get ahead a little bit. We will see. That said, did I already grab the 125? I don't think I did. Okay, so we've got $125 and 20. And the downside is Mr. Murphy does not do well at the vet. He has to be sedated because, at least not like fully asleep, but they have to give him pills so that he will calm down, which is kind of why I think they've been a little bit lackadaisical about having us come in immediately to determine what's going on. And been willing for us to try some of these homeopathic and other things first, but we'll see how long that lasts. Okay, so we are at 150, 70, 85, 95, 230. Yes, 16205. Now we are at 205 because even though we did have an appointment for our black lab, that was not cheap either. Good Lord. We had done some extra funding, which got us up to 233 towards the end of the year. We were left over with a little bit of money after the appointment, and then as part of our leftover money allocation, we did put $50 in there, so we had $80 still in the fund. Pets is probably going to stay as an option for us to put extra funding towards the end of the pay periods if we have money to work with, but at least for right now, it's not going to be an absolute. We're just going to have to feel our way, see how things go. But at least for right now, we have $205. Prime does not get funded this pay period. We used to have $500 in cash in here. It's part of our the job loss savings. I finally just decided to put that in the bank. There's not really any good reason for us to have it in cash, so I just moved it. Taxes. Okay, so taxes, we have currently $332 in here. This $332 is specifically for the tax year 2024. So we need to separate it from any other money that comes in. So we'll just say 2024. That is not going to stay down like that, is it? And I have no tape. I don't even have any paper clips. Ugh, very annoying. All right, so we'll leave that. This is 2024. So starting this month, any money that comes in is going to be for the 2025 tax season for any income that we get from my Etsy shop, as well as any income that we may make from the YouTube channel. We just want to make sure that we are preparing in the event that we do have to pay taxes. And so we will get $20 that will go to 2025, so we will start fresh with $20. My intention for this month, for January, is to fund as normal. We currently haven't had any sales on Etsy, so there is nothing to generate a tax liability yet. And we will see if at the end of the month we have had much activity to the point where we need to allocate the $20 that we will be funding to this specific envelope, or if it will come and be available to make other decisions with, like what we're doing with the license money. But I want to at least have $40 in there to start with. So that is what we are looking at for taxes. Oh my goodness, I definitely rambled during this one. We are past 30 minutes. Okay. Yard cleanup, we have put that on hiatus for right now because we are going to be funding the 2025 garden. I don't really have any garden things. I don't really want to do that. What we're going to do instead is it's going to be really ugly and really boring, but I'm just going to put garden 2025, and on it's going to be 1/8 is when it comes out. We will have a $100 transfer that goes into the savings account, and that will be allocated for the garden. We will do that for an additional 4 pay periods, and then we will go back to yard cleanup. So the total that we're looking to save up is $500. I'm anticipating our garden season is going to start in about a month. When I start to do some seeds starting indoors. We just went through the seeds that we're looking to do, so we do kind of have our plan of what we're going to plant, and it's creeping up on us quick for the garden season and starting to get ready. We probably will not plant anything out. I separated my seeds out by when they need to start, whether it's indoors or outdoors. I think the earliest we're going to start anything outdoors is probably sometime in March, because we are going to be doing some peas, and I think it's just going to be those that are going to be the earliest items. I would have to double check, but I'm not going to bore you with that info. Okay, we do still have this $11. You guys know the 2 areas that we have the trouble with, at least this month. Pets is obviously a good candidate to get the extra money, but I think what we're going to do is fund groceries, just so that we can boost our grocery money for next week just a little bit more than we already have. So where does that put us? $1 there, $10 there. So we will have an actual total of 20, 30, 40, 55, 61, 62, 63, $64 to work with, which honestly, that is not too bad. We'll just have to be a little bit more careful about what we decide we actually need. And I don't think that is that bad of a requirement for us to have to work through. So, all right, that is it. That is our first cash stuffing for the 2025 year. I hope it was interesting. I apologize again for, for babbling for so long. I just get to rambling and there's no stopping me. All right. On that note, if you have any questions, concerns, things that you want to bring up, any suggestions that you might have, please note those down below. And I hope we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.